There was a class I was in at U of H, and I had this friend this one semester, and he was a good guy. He wasn't a bad guy, but what made him the most interesting to me, what I learned from him the most, was he was shamelessly persistent. So, like for example, if he needed help with something, some assignment, he would blow up my phone like crazy, with phone calls or messages or whatever. And at some point, I'd be thinking to myself, doesn't this guy have some self respect? Like, isn't he just gonna calm down a little bit? Like, okay, it's not working. I should stop disturbing him. No, this guy would go at it harder. He'd keep going. And of course, at some point, I'd like oblige and I'd help him out. It's like, yeah, you're my friend. We'll work on this. But what I learned from him was, you know, that shameless persistence. I mean, the concept of self respect for him, it's like it was somewhere else. It wasn't there. He was like a scallywag in a way, but
Right.
not in a negative connotation, in a good connotation. I learned from him that if you really want something, you got to be persistent about it. And that's how I've been able to talk to some people who I never would have imagined I'd be able to talk to on the podcast or, work with or communicate with. But that's something I learned from that guy. It's just that shameless persistence. And I think it's interesting and relevant to our conversation because so much of being a creative is being okay with the embarrassment, just taking it in stride. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, you learn and you move on. And that's such a beautiful thing. With all that being said, when I do reach out to people that I admire and I'm interested in talking to, sometimes it works, which is awesome. Sometimes it doesn't, which again, I just learn from. And other times, we'll see. Maybe it'll happen in the future. But my interest in speaking to certain people, it's not so much to it's not so much that I want to be infected by their success or something like that, but it's more like, hey, I admire your work. I've learned so much from you. I'd love to share a conversation or talk about this or whatever. And I think that's a really beautiful thing because recently Val Kilmer died.
Mhm.
And he was someone that I really admired. And I always hoped in the back of my head someday to talk to him or interact with him or work with him. And then just recently, I had to scratch his name off because he's obviously dead. But the desire to be able to interact with someone like that, to talk to someone like that, it comes from a place of, man, I cherish everything I've learned. Hopefully, we can have that interaction. And so I think as people that are still alive, it puts on this responsibility to us that go out there, make those connections while we're still here.
Yeah, man. That'll make me cry, dog. That was that was deep. It's true. Um, Even just it makes you a lot more grateful and appreciative of interactions like that that you've already had. That you've already had where maybe it was a goal to reach out to someone and you kind of got that connection and it's in the bag. Maybe you have a relationship with someone, you're kind of aiming for it, but you don't appreciate it once you've got it. And it kind of just makes you think like you never know even the last time you're going to have a conversation with someone. You never know the last time you'll have um, a creative conversation or even the opportunity to pursue someone. Because even like just to give you a practical example of something I'm dealing with, TikTok is my main platform, and up until like 2 days ago, I thought it was about to get banned today, and so I would have lost, you know, 30,000 followers, millions of views, and a somewhat of a community that I've built and like friends I've made through that, DMs, and people that only know me maybe through my TikTok DMs. Like it was just about to evaporate, and I was just counting the days, like waiting. You know, I don't have really have much control over that, but there's an extension. Even now, there's a 75-day extension, but I don't know what's going to happen with that. It might go away again, and so you really just got to make the most of it. All of this is temporary. Life in general, if you want to take it philosophically or Islamically, however, I mean, Um, the opportunities that we have, we ought to make the most of them and really get after it. Like you said, be persistent even.
Yeah. And I mean, just that phenomenon really blows my mind. We're alive at the same time as each other and so many other people too. I mean, whoa, whoa, just that. There is
Yeah.
a chance that you could cross paths and interact. That's something. That's crazy.
And I think even past creatives or famous people or big figures that, of course, you like. I wonder what it would be like to talk to this actor or this person that I've admired. You'll find gems, man, just being out and about. Some of the my best friends I made in life were usually at events and places where, looking back, I didn't even want to go. Where I was just like, man, I'm tired, bro. Like, I don't want to go to this, college event or this workshop or whatever it is. And these are people that I know for sure have my back for the rest of my life. And it was just spontaneous. Or it might just be someone random that, you're having a conversation with someone at a gas station or the person, behind the counter, and you start to see that person regularly. Like, you never know who you're going to interact with and how much people will mean to you, as your life goes on. There might be people now in my life I think about sometimes where, like, I might reconnect with an old friend from years back and we might rekindle a whole new relationship off that. And it's like you really never know. You might run into someone you went to elementary school with, randomly. And yeah, you can never really expect where life's going to take you when it comes to relationships and those kind of interactions.
That happened to me. I
Oh
had a
wow.
friend in second grade, Michael Brzezinski, good friend of mine, and then he just disappeared for the rest of elementary school. And I always wondered, what happened to Michael Brzezinski? Nobody knew, right? Especially as elementary kids, no social media, just rumors. Yeah, he probably moved or this and that. Nobody really knew. Anyways, I'm at the University of Houston now, and I'm taking the metro to school, and I'm coming back home, and I get onto the metro bus, and I sit down next to a guy, and I look at him, and I'm like, "Are you Michael Brzezinski?" He's like, "Yeah." How did you know? I'm like, "I remember you from elementary school." And then
That's nuts,
we
dude.
talked about our memories, and it's like, no way, this is crazy. We met on a bus all these years later. So somebody that disappears at chapter 7 or 8 of your life somehow comes up again at chapter 20. It's crazy.
And especially in a big city like Houston, bro, where there could have
Yeah.
been millions of people on that same bus at that time. Like, that's subhanallah. Like,
Here's what
you
makes
can't.
that story crazier. The only empty seat on that bus was the one next to him, which is crazy.
Wow,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's amazing, dude. That's the kind of stuff they need. That's the kind of stuff that happens in movies, but it happened in real life.
Exactly. That's what I'm always looking for, movie moments in real life. That's what makes it more exciting.